Hello, this is MikeAusloos, and I'm here to report what I learned in advanced data management, a summary of my semester in 7 minutes. We started out the semester importing data. We used Microsoft's SQL Server import wizard to import flat files. The file I chose was a comma-separated file. We also used tsql commands to normalize the data as we imported the data. A valuable lesson we learned is that one must ensure that the data is clean before starting to import it. One major component of this is when importing a delimited file, such as a comma-separated file, that there aren't any stray delimiters that exist in the file. I had extra comics that I changed to clean before importing using a text editor, Notepad++, and I used Microsoft Office's Excel to verify that the data was clean before importing it. Once the data had been imported into the database, I needed to do a mass substitution to restore the data to its original characters, as I wanted the original characters to be present in the database. Here's an example of how I imported two of the tables, level 1 tables, that didn't have any foreign key dependencies. Next, we learned some advanced query techniques. We learned how to partition large data tables to make them more manageable. We learned better techniques on how to aggregate data so that we would be prepared to learn how to use aggregation when analyzing large data. We learned about execution plans, the indices, and the query hints to try and help the query optimizer more efficiently execute SQL tasks, SQL commands. And we learned how to convert data, to cast it, and to convert it into different data types. We learned the whole ETL process. We automated ETL with SSIS, SQL Server's integration systems. We learned data flow tasks, conditional splits, and file system tasks to move the files after they had been processed. We learned SQL Server jobs to automate jobs and tasks to perform at their regularly scheduled times without having to rely on human memory to kick those jobs off. We learned how to configure and send emails to notify email recipients or groups when a job has completed or when an error has occurred. Then we learned business intelligence. We learned about data marts, data warehouses, dimension tables, focusing on the star schema and the snowflake schema. And we learned a bit about big data. We also learned that you should visualize your data. We learned how reports can help group the data for analysis. And we learned how to group reports into a dashboard to tell a story about our data. One of the tools we used was Microsoft's Power BI. Here's an example of a dashboard I created to tell the story of the data of home sales in King County, Washington, the state of Washington, during the time frame from May 2014 through May 31st of 2015. Here you can see roughly the monthly breakdown of when the houses were sold, the area where the houses were sold, and the general zip codes of the area that we're speaking about. Last, we learned about data and cloud-based architecture. We learned about the scalability, which is really nice in that it'll scale as your business grows, but also if you're a retailer that does 50% of your business or more in the holiday season, cloud-based architecture will scale up during that peak time, but then you can also scale it down after the peak time is over and when you're less busy. So you won't need to keep the peak level and pay for peak level performance when your business isn't running anywhere near that level. And so this is what we learned. We learned about importing data, the ETL process, advanced query techniques, data jobs, email notification, data marts, data warehouses, and the whole online analytical processing techniques, business intelligence, and data and cloud-based architecture. Thank you. Have a great day.